So there's been some interesting news regarding Tom Hardy and his latest series, Mobland. The gangster drama follows Hardy as a fixer for a crime family, headed by Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren. I've reviewed the show on the channel if you're interested, and to be honest, I liked it. It's a little silly, a little over the top, but it's got an interesting story and some colourful characters. This family is really wacko, intentionally so. There's something Addams family about it, with them all being out to get each other. And in between all of the chaos and trouble the family members land themselves in, the gruff and stoic Tom Hardy is the man to solve the family's issues and get them out of the holes they constantly dig for themselves. Not anymore though, because Tom Hardy has been sacked. Fired from the show apparently, meaning he won't be in season 3. To be honest, I hadn't actually realised there was a season 2 being filmed. But there hasn't been advertising for it or anything. Doesn't look like it's finished yet. It's just that when all the news came out about him not returning for the 3rd season, I thought I was going crazy and somehow I missed the entire 2nd season. But there will be a season 2 coming out with him in the show. And if they ever made a 3rd season, which it does look like is planned, he won't be in it. That is, of course, if we put our tinfoil hats on for a second, that the producers did indeed hate Tom Hardy, so did actually cancel his contract, but that a 3rd season was never planned. And putting it out there that this big profile actor has been fired does bring intended publicity to your show. Case in point, I had no idea season 2 had been made. Now I do. It appears that Hardy clashed with producers after being consistently late to set and attempted to give notes and change dialogue for the series, leading him to be axed. Since his firing, some more news is also coming out. According to the Irish Star, Hardy not only clashed with the show's producers Jez Butterworth and David Glasser, but also Helen Mirren, who a source quoted as saying he swaggers around like a king on set and was growing quote-unquote increasingly frustrated with the actor's attitude, noting one incident where she discovered him playing games on his phone when he was needed elsewhere. The source added, Tom's character is charming, he's the calm one, but it is quite the opposite when the cameras stop. Dame Helen is a joy, she is a total pro and she has worked with so many people over the years, but she is getting increasingly frustrated with Tom and his attitude. He can be late to filming too, and that is annoying for Dame Helen, who is extremely professional and disciplined. His tone is something Dame Helen doesn't like, along with his lateness. She expects better. She holds people to a high standard. She's 80. She's been there and seen it all. The behind-the-scenes crew watch it all and believe she no longer looks as happy working on scenes with him. It has all become quite personal between them. It feels like Tom is winding her up. There is much chatter that he swaggers around like he's the king. He is very, very arrogant. It's a fantastic show and everyone loves working on it. It's such a shame there is this undertone. The source then mentioned the thing about him being late and giving unsolicited notes on the script, but also purported the idea that Hardy was becoming angry that the show was becoming too centered around his co-stars Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan. I mean, for the sake of the show, it's a shame. He was good in the series, and his role is a crucial one, in that you've got this crazy crime family doing all sorts of mad things, and he's the calm one, the solid one who solves the issues. So you remove him from the equation, and you're then forced to change up the narrative structure. It kind of reminds me of how Michael Pitt's behaviour allegedly got him fired from Boardwalk Empire after 2 seasons, and the show really changed after that. It could work, but it would be very difficult. He's the main character, the straight guy in the middle of all this wild family who's carrying the show, really. But the thing is, given how central he is to the show, he must have been a real pain then that the showrunners are willing to get rid of him. You know, I think Tom Hardy is a fantastic actor. He's one of my favourites, and I've liked him ever since his brilliant role as Bronson in 2008. Does need to get a better agent, maybe? He hasn't really been in a lot of great stuff recently. His last really good role in a really good film where he had a solid part was The Revenant, and that was more than 10 years ago. Before that, he went through an incredible run and really showed that he was one of the most interesting actors working today, and I've always been on the lookout for what he's doing next. That said, I don't find these rumours unbelievable, as similar stories have dogged him from previous film sets. The one that immediately comes to mind is Mad Max Fury Road, where there are stories of Hardy apparently not understanding George Miller's vision, so not taking the project seriously, staying in his trailer, often being late, leading to tensions between him and Charlize Theron, who was always punctual and professional, and the two clashed constantly. There's loads of stuff online you can read about this, like her being in the war rig at one point in the sweltering Nambian heat for 3 hours before Hardy shows up, and she goes irate at him, and then he starts threatening her. Mark Golnisch, a grip on Fury Road, tells the story. I remember vividly the day. The call on set was 8 o'clock. Charlize got there right at 8 o'clock, sat in the war rig, knowing that Tom's never going to be there at 8, even though they made a special request for him to be there on time. He was notorious for never being on time in the morning. If the call time was in the morning, forget it, he didn't show up. Gets to 9 o'clock, still no Tom. Charlize, do you want to get out of the war rig and walk around, or do you want to? No, I'm going to stay here. She was really going to make a point. She didn't go to the bathroom, didn't do anything. She just sat in the war rig. 11 o'clock. She's now in the war rig, sitting there with her makeup on and a full costume for 3 hours. Tom turns up, and he walks casually across the desert. She jumps out of the war rig, and she starts swearing her head off at him, saying, "Fine the fucking cunt $100,000 for every minute that he's held this crew up. And how disrespectful are you?" She was right. Full rant. She screams it out. It's so loud, it's so windy. He might have heard some of it, but he charged up to her and went, "What did you say to me?" He was quite aggressive. She really felt threatened, and that was the turning point, because then she said, "I want someone as protection." She then had a producer that was assigned to be with her all the time. I remember also seeing an interview where Hardy publicly apologized to Miller for his behaviour on the set. There's a bizarre story from the set of Lawless with Shia LaBeouf and Hardy, who often wrestled together on set. Hardy is said to have burst into Shia's room while he was naked and with his girlfriend, and he picks him up and proceeds to fight him in the hallway, where Hardy ended up falling down a flight of stairs. It all sounds playful when Shia recounts the story, but the film's director once said that they had a real fight that escalated to a point where both had to be restrained. There's a rumour that he choked out the director on The Revenant. Patrick Stewart didn't think much of him on set of Star Wars, and I saw someone online who worked on the film Havoc say that he spent hours locked in his trailer playing on his Xbox during filming. So it does look like, talented as he is, Hardy is a difficult actor to work with, and it appears his reputation is starting to catch up to him, with a production finally taking action, and his star power not being quite enough to excuse his behaviour. Maybe there's a reason he hasn't been in many quality productions in the last 10 years or so. It remains to be seen if the character will be written off or recast. Maybe a Hardy lookalike like Logan Marshall Green or Cosmo Jarvis. What do you make of this news? Let me know down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching. But hold on, because there's been some more developments while I'm literally making this video. So Variety have reported that they have been told by a source that Tom Hardy has not actually been sacked from the show. The source said, "Tom was not fired, the door is not closed for season 3, and things are being worked through creatively." The show is produced by the likes of Guy Ritchie, and also Jez Butterworth and David Glasser, who Hardy reportedly fell out with. But the source said, "I'm sure Guy is probably pushing David Glasser to make it work. Guy likes working with Tom." And Variety have said that multiple sources have told them that the issues surrounding Tom Hardy are not just on him. I quote, "He's difficult, but he's a movie star," a second production source said. Others pointed out that the tensions could have been amicably resolved sooner, but the leaks from production sources alleging that Hardy had been fired have inflamed the situation and are causing this drama to drag on. Per sources, Hardy was displeased because Butterworth was delivering scripts late, sometimes just a week before shooting, which clashed with the star's ability to rehearse. "Tom likes to prepare," a second source said. Butterworth was also not present on set, meaning he could not deal with script issues as they arose. "The only people Butterworth really speaks to is David Glasser," said the production source. "Very few people on the cast or crew have anything to do with Jez. We never see him." The other production source disputed this, saying Hardy has been present on weekly Zoom meetings with Butterworth and Glasser. Reports Hardy would not be returning for season 3 after falling out with Butterworth and Glasser first appeared in Puck. Variety understands the tensions were real, but that Hardy was not officially fired and the trio are currently trying to resolve their creative differences. However, Butterworth's absence on set proved difficult when Hardy requested the occasional script change. Often his ideas are very sound, the source said of Hardy, and he wants them taken seriously. Jez kind of hasn't got the time to deal with those notes, so it becomes problematic. Variety also talked about Guy Ritchie having directed the pilot, and because of his prestige as a film director, he was able to take on board Tom Hardy's script ideas and make any amends needed without having to go up the chain of command. Or he was able to push back and essentially tell Tom Hardy, no, that's not how we're going to do it. Variety then notes that the issues came about with other, lesser-known directors who took on subsequent episodes. They said, Butterworth's absence became more difficult when Ritchie passed the baton to the rotating cast of directors, of which there were 3 on season 1. At that point, if Hardy had an issue with a script, the director can't suddenly turn around and go, well, let's rewrite the scene, because they don't have that authority, the source explained. They also didn't have much authority over Hardy either. He's used to dealing with some of the best directors in the world, the source said of the actor. So when he suddenly has a jobbing TV director, he struggles, and to a certain extent he can walk all over them because they're intimidated by him. Ritchie isn't intimidated by Hardy, and consequently he's better behaved with Guy, the source said. The duo have a long-standing relationship dating back to Ritchie's 2008 film Rock and Roller, in which Hardy appeared. Hardy trusts Ritchie to get the shot and make it work in the edit, while Ritchie can tell him to stop fucking about, and Hardy will take it in good heart, the source said. Their report is in contrast to relations between Hardy and Glasser. I think Hardy, probably personality-wise, struggles with the David Glasser type of Hollywood producer dynamic, said the source. David's a tough guy. He's a very fair guy, but he's a tough guy. Glasser runs a tight ship and effectively lost patience with Hardy's requests for rewrites as well as the tardiness, which saw Brosnan and Mirren left to wait for ages until Hardy arrived on set, according to a third source similar with Hardy's conduct in season 1. David is not prepared to be held to ransom by an actor, even if it's the leading actor. He has a track record of dealing with this kind of stuff, the second source said. The article does go on, but all in all, it looks like the issues surrounding Tom Hardy are real. But from the looks of things, the announcement that he's been canned from the production may have been premature, and work is being done to get everyone to a happy place. I mean, it could be that the studio has backtracked on sacking Hardy after gauging the public sentiment, or it could be that this is all PR to make things seem all hunky-dory. Because if anything, these quotes, which seem to be intended to make Hardy seem a little misunderstood and not as bad as he was initially made out to be, actually makes it worse for me, because the gist I'm getting is that he's straight up bullying the lesser directors, and Hardy getting frustrated because scripts were being delivered up to a week before shooting sounds a bit eye-raising. He's an actor. There's surely been times on set where the script is changed on the day, let alone a week. A week sounds like more than enough time to re-rehearse some lines. And the source seems to have glossed over some of the more paramount issues, in particular the cast and crew having to wait hours for him to come out of his trailer. The source later said in the article, when addressing rumours that Helen Mirren was frustrated with him, any actor is frustrated when they're made to wait a couple of hours. I know she said to him a couple of times, come on Tom, we've been here for ages, let's get on with it. But she's never appeared to be anti-Tom. I'm sorry, but how is this defensible behaviour? To leave 80-year-old actors hanging around on the set for hours, meaning the cast and crew have to change schedules, budgets get piled up, all sorts. Anyway, what do you make of this? Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.